Hey, how you doing today? It's good to have you here on this gorgeous, gorgeous day. And so I've got a parenting tip for you today, all right? You may think otherwise, your inclination may be, oh, that doesn't quite make sense. This may sound counterintuitive. But when it comes to parenting, when it comes time, you have a kid in high school or a kid in college or just out of college, and they're struggling with the question of what the hell should I do with my life? Never, ever, ever tell your kid, well, just do what you're good at, okay? Never tell them solely that message. And the reason for that is so much of my work, so many of my clientele are exceptionally good at what they do. I work with people at the top levels of music, sports, business, especially, politics, acting, music, you name it, academia. And I have so many people who have reached the very pinnacles of success doing what they're good at. And many of them have made a fortune doing what they are good at. And they're fucking miserable. Or their life has fallen apart because they never enjoyed it. And they knew back in the beginning that even though they were good at it, and they were pursuing it very often to get the success or to avoid criticism or whatever, voices of parents in their head, whatever, they never loved it. No, don't tell your kid to do what they're good at. Because you can be good at plenty of things that you don't love. Tell them to find that which they love. And the problem with that is, well, how the hell do you do it, right? And I have two techniques that I recommend to young people or to parents of young people when I'm working with them. And the first one is simply this. You have to be willing, as when you're young, or if it hits you later, you say, I got to get out of my fucking career, but I don't know what I want to do. Well, you're going to probably have to do it then too, but it's easier to do when you're young and you don't have a mortgage and you don't have kids and you don't have car payments and shit like that. When you're young, my biggest recommendation is to step up to the buffet of life and try as many things as possible. As many experiences, as many fields of study, try everything. Try different jobs until you begin to find things, oh, this is kind of cool. Well, let me take it a little bit further. Let me try this avenue of it, all right? But it requires trying as many things as possible just to see what's out there. If you don't know what you would love doing, that's in part because you haven't seen enough of life. But you got to step up to that buffet and you got to try all different, like I said, fields of study or jobs or career paths or potential career paths. You have to try them. But implicit in trying all these things up at the buffet of life, implicit in doing that is the permission to quit them when they don't feel right. I was working with a client just yesterday, and he was telling me, Sven, when I was younger, I couldn't even tell you the number of jobs I had and quit. Some of them I would quit on the first day. I'd get in there and I'd be like, nope, this isn't me. And he had parents who allowed that. He had parents who encouraged that. And he ended up finding that which he loved because he quit all the shit that he didn't love. And he had a great career and so on and so forth, counseling with me because of family stuff, not because of his career. But it's finding that which breathes life into your soul. It's finding that which you discover you want to learn and become good at. But it's that love for it that drives the hustle. It's the desire to be a part of this industry. My son didn't know what he wanted to do in terms of the actual work, but he knew he wanted to spend a career in sports. And he's, 8-10 years out of college, and he's building a career in sports, and he's doing really well because he just loves being around sports. All right, and that's just one teeny example. I have a very dear friend who loves being around art and so forth, and she started as just a not a docent in a museum, but a usher at the symphony. And then she moved up to managing usher. Then she moved into sales, and she says, Sven, I just love being around music. All right? And she's building it, and she's young, but she knows this is where she just loves to be. So I tell young people, step up to the buffet of life and be willing to quit. But the tricky part of that is, not only does the young person have to give themselves permission to quit, the parent, you have to give your child permission to quit. And that's a tough one, isn't it? It's a tough one as a parent when your child comes home and says, I'm excited about this now. And then the parent's like, oh, great, I'm excited too. You got something going there. And it's hard to be a little hands off and let them manage it their way and so forth. They want to be encouraged. And it's hard then when they go in and they try it. Maybe they do it for a day, a week, a month, a year. And then they say, no, it doesn't feel good anymore. And it's just like, oh, well, that sucks, because I was getting all excited and I was telling my friends, and now I got to go tell my friends that my kid quit their job on day 2 or day 222. And that's hard for me. It's kind of embarrassing a little bit. And the simple fact of the matter is, you have to be willing to allow your child to embarrass you. You have to be willing to allow your child to not conform to your ideas of what are acceptable ways of living in the world. Your child does not exist to make you proud. Your child does not exist to make sure they don't embarrass you. And as a parent, until you get that through your fucking noggin, you're gonna fuck up your kid. Why? It's like I told my kids when they were young, if you're worried about making me proud or making your mother proud, you've already taken your eye off the ball, okay? Your job is to find that which moves your fucking soul and to go at it 100 miles an hour with your fucking hair on fire. That's your job. Your job isn't to make me proud. Your job isn't to worry about what I think. I am proud of you. I love you. I think you're wonderful. You're my child. Just go find yourself, man. You have my permission to quit. Don't fucking worry about me. I love you. And I know their mother, basically gave them the same message, all right? But that's the message the child's got to get. They got to know that it's not their job to make you proud. So once you give that child permission to quit that which is not them, that which does not resonate with them in the soul, all right? You know how when you hit a key on a piano and it strikes the string inside, and that string resonates inside the piano box, right? That's how it is when we hear truth. That's how it is when we find our path. There's this sense of knowing, this sense of inner resonation. That's where you want your kid to be, because as long as they're on a path that resonates, that feels truthful and consistent and clear with who I am as a person, they will have joy. They will fail, they will fuck up, they will fall down, but they will have joy doing it because it's their own path. So that's the first thing I tell kids is, of teen years or 20s or even into 30s, I mean, any age really, but especially those ages, the way to find your path is try a lot and give yourself permission to quit. The other question I like to ask kids is something similar to one we've all heard before. Many speakers, motivational speakers and writers will ask people the question, and it's a fantastic question. I really love this question. They'll say, well, what would you do if you knew you couldn't fail? Okay, that's a great question because it really fucking blows the mind. It opens it wide up to anything. I'd be an astronaut. I'd be a cartographer. I would be a, shoe designer. I would, whatever it is. What would you do if you knew you couldn't fail? I love that as a precursor question, as something to just get the mind going, to give the child permission to think big and to not put my grubby little fingers in it as a parent and try to steer them into a set of parameters that I'm okay with. Do you know how many fucking clients I have or have had over the decades whose parents implicitly, sometimes explicitly, but very often implicitly told their kids, oh, you can do whatever you want. They explicitly said, you can do whatever you want. Hey, the world's your oyster. But implicit in their actions, implicit in their responses, implicit in their questions was the message, you can do whatever you want as long as it fits within the parameters that I'm comfortable with. Now that's a very different fucking message from you can do whatever you want. Because this parent is saying, here's what I'm okay with, and you're doing this out here and I'm not okay with that. Okay, that's what, whenever I hear a client or a parent or someone say, well, I tell my kids, they can do whatever they want in life and, go after it. I poke around some more, and what I usually discover is the child, or now the adult child who got that message as a kid, but the child is getting a counter message to, oh, you can do whatever you want, go for it. Because very often the parent, as I said, is undermining that message for what I, the parent, really want. Okay, so the opening question that really blows the fucking mind, it's a great question, is what would you do if you knew you couldn't fail? And I love that question, I really do. But I ask a different question, or I ask a subsequent question after they've sort of gotten into sort of the realm of where I might like to do, or I would, if I could do anything, knowing I couldn't fail, I'd maybe try this or this, right? But then I ask this question. For me, this is the real fucking meat and potatoes question, the headbanger question. And that's, what would you do if you knew there was a high likelihood of you failing? What would you do anyway? Now that's the fucking question. That's how you know whether or not you're on this path because you just fucking love it, or because you want the success that comes with it. Now, I'm all for success, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying you shouldn't want success. I'm simply saying, fuck me. I'm simply saying, are you doing it for the success, or are you doing it for the love of the work? So somebody tells me, I'd love to make a career as an actor. And I say, fantastic. And they say, and I say, when you dream about, what do you dream of? Oh, I dream of winning the Oscar and giving my speech and, being in these big name movies and my picture up on a giant billboard in Madison Square Garden, or, outside of Times Square, or what have you. And I say, all right. Now, do you dream of being an actor even if you knew there was a high likelihood of failure? Even if you knew you wouldn't make it to that level? Even if you knew you might be, have a speaking extra role in a movie, and maybe that's all the higher you'd go. But you'd do some stage work and so on and so forth, or whatever. Even if you knew you wouldn't have that level of success, or even if you knew there was a high likelihood you would fail, would you still want to be an actor? And the person who responds with, I can't see myself doing anything else. Fuck yeah, I want to be an actor. I just fucking love it. That's the person who knows. That's the person who should be a fucking actor, right? Not just because, I'm being realistic. No, it's deeper than that. It's much deeper than that. I'm doing it because I fucking love it. Not because of the success. I want the success and I'm gonna bust my balls to get the success, but I'm doing it not for the success. I'm doing it because I fucking love this work. That's how I am with counseling. I toiled for years, as a pastor, and then working on the street with homeless people, literally living on the street, 2.5 years, sleeping on concrete every night. Gave up all of my life possessions to work among the homeless, counseling. And I didn't come in there saying I'm a counselor. I just lived as one of them. It's where I felt called. It was fucking miserable, but it was fantastic. I loved it. I'd even fucking do it again. All right? I don't do this because of the success. I do it because I fucking love changing people's lives. And I love the work. I love the puzzles that are people's lives and relationships and so forth. It's an infinitely complex calculus that my mind loves to chew on. So I guess the question is, do you have the courage to set your child free? Do you have the courage to give your child permission to choose the paths that inspire them and to quit the paths that don't? Furthermore, ask your child those questions. Challenge them and ask yourself these questions. Are you in a fucking career that's fucking miserable, but you're good at it, and now you got a fucking mortgage, or you got a divorce coming up, or whatever it is? You got to have the balls to become happy, and the only way you become happy is by being, saying, doing, and becoming that which comes from your fucking soul, that which moves you, that which resonates inside of you like a string in a piano. All right, I love you. I hope you have a kick-ass day. Get out and enjoy this beautiful shit. I hope it's beautiful where you are. I'm fucking loving it. All right, take care.